Hello, welcome to Secure Talk, your trusted source of information on the latest threats, trends, tools, and technology related to cybersecurity and compliance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Secure Talk. Secure Talk is brought to you by AdeQuest, your cybersecurity and compliance partner. My name is Mark Schreiner, and I'll be your host for this episode of Secure Talk. Today, we're going to be talking with Zaid Al Quraishi, who is the CEO at zSecurity and also a very well-known online educator in the cybersecurity space. Zaid has published several books and online courses, including Learn Ethical Hacking from Scratch, which has had over 92,000 students on the Udemy platform alone take that course. He's also created a course called Learn Social Engineering from Scratch and several other courses related to website hacking and penetration testing. Zaid, in addition to doing all of that, has recently launched a bug bounty platform called bug-bounty.com, and we'll be talking a little bit about that, some of his courses, and more on today's episode of Secure Talk. So, hey, Zaid, how you been? It's been a few years.
It's been a while, yeah. How are you doing? I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I just looked at the dates of the last time that we spoke, and I think it was in June 2018, so almost 3 years ago.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a while. So
I thought it was like 19. I knew it wasn't 2020, but I thought it would have been 19.
Yeah, and it was actually one of our most popular episodes. I think that your message resonated with a lot of people out there, and plus you obviously have a lot of students around the world who are kind of keen to hear what you have to say. I got to ask you before we get started, what is that medieval torture device hanging off of your back door there, or the door behind you?
Oh, that's COVID stuff. So now I have kind of a gym in the office. So I use these.
Okay.
Yeah, I have weights. I have a bench here. It turned into a gym, this place, but
that's awesome. That's awesome. No, right. So I started doing a lot of body weight exercises because you can't go to the gym, right? And so I started reading a lot and watching. And there's this guy Pavel Tsatsouline. And I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he's a Russian strength coach. He's been on Joe Rogan many times, and he's written, like 20 different books. But he goes into the deep science of, how to optimize body weight exercises. And there's some really cool research out there, and you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. I mean, that thing on your door doesn't look all that fancy. What does that actually do? Is that...
Yeah, you can hang with it and you do back workouts. I just do back workouts with that one.
Okay.
So yeah, you close the door on it, and you can do it like this. And it's like the rows that you could do with the bar in the gym, but you can't really do that. So, you can do some leg workouts with it actually as well. Jumping. They're not jump. Yeah, something jump squats. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
You can do a few workouts with it. You mix it up. Some of that, some on the bench. I have a few dumbbells. So yeah, I have to do. I remember the first time I bought some equipment for training at home at the start of the pandemic, and I was like, is that am I gonna regret this? Did I spend too much? And I actually didn't spend that much. I just bought like a pull-up bar. But I know I don't like training at home. And now looking back, and I was like, I should have probably bought more stuff.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't know what. Are you still in Ireland?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what it's like there, but here it's almost impossible to order any kind of home exercise equipment. I mean, as soon as the pandemic hit, everything got sold out, right?
Yeah.
So we were fortunate. We my boys and I got a pull-up bar, one of those ones you hang in the doorway. And, it's a little bit awkward because you can hit your head on the ceiling. So, but it's something to do. And I find that, probably you're in front of the computer all day long. You do need to do some exercise, right?
Yeah,
and get out, walk around the block, etc. But, so like, how have things been for your business since this whole crazy 2020, the pandemic and everything?
Yeah, it was crazy. Now, didn't really affect us that much because, as you know, we work online. We've been an online company before the pandemic, and a lot of the people work from home anyway. So in terms of the pandemic affecting the business, didn't really affect us negatively. If anything, it was actually good for us because a lot of people are moving online, and there is more consultancies and more things to do. More people that want to learn. More people are learning from home. And as you know, again, we teach online. So everything we do online, and the whole pandemic accelerated everything to go online as well. So in terms of business, didn't really affect us. But, it's the same thing, the traveling, the fact that you don't really feel safe leaving the house, the way that you're stuck at home, that kind of stuff. So it's nothing to do with the business, but affect us like anyone else.
Yeah, one of the companies I consult with, they do online language learning. And they were really concerned at the beginning of the pandemic that things were going to slow down, but actually things accelerated because you do have people who are at home and then looking for ways to use their extra time, right? And go online and studying is great. Yeah. And obviously cybersecurity is super timely and becoming increasingly important. I think the last time we spoke, I have to check my notes, but I think you had 4 or 5 courses online. Why don't you give a quick update in terms of like the total number of courses you have, where they're at, what types of courses, etc.?
Yeah, so I think since the last time we spoke, I released 2 courses. I released my Python and ethical hacking course, and I released my privacy, anonymity, and security. Obviously, the previous ones are still being kept up to date. That's why I don't actually release as much courses as I do. Like a lot of the time, you see companies and like even instructors, they would release the second version of their course, a third version. What I do is my courses are, the way I call them, like rolling courses, as in like, if something needs to be updated, I don't make a new course with a new update. I go back and update that section. It makes more sense that way. You make less money, but you keep your customers happier. So I'm happy doing that.
Absolutely. Go ahead, sorry.
Yes. So the previous courses are still there. Ethical hacking from scratch, which is the basic one, website hacking, social engineering, and we added the Python and ethical hacking because programming can enhance your hacking skills drastically and can actually be useful in many scenarios. So it makes sense to cover that. I chose Python because I love Python and I think it's a really good language to learn for hackers. And we released there was one section that I felt like I never covered, which is the privacy, the security. So I made a course on on security, privacy, and anonymity.
So why don't you talk a little bit about that course? Because what I see sometimes in cybersecurity is you have the kind of technical aspects of it, and then you have the more, I guess it would be policy or strategic aspects. So, for example, somebody who's going to go in and do pen testing, they're using some skills, some technical skills, and if you're writing some script or something to try to find a vulnerability, that's more technical. But if you're implementing a policy, for example, zero trust policy, or least what do you call it? Permissions. Help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. PMI, or just-in-time permissions, privileged identity management. Gosh, yeah. I need more coffee. Those are more at the kind of strategic or policy level. And when it comes to privacy, I think you can get both as well. So what do you cover in your course?
Yeah, so my course is actually not done for security in terms of like servers or companies. It's mainly directed towards individuals. So companies can teach it to their employees, but it's not about like securing the network of the company or any of that. The idea is how you as an individual can protect your anonymity, privacy, and security and serve, the internet safely. A lot of, like, as we know, a lot of the attacks and exploit there is a social engineering aspect to it. Sure. I actually done a conference, I think that was after we spoke as well. And mainly everything I showed, I was speaking, the title was how you got hacked, how you spent, I think, $1 million and still got hacked or something like that. And the idea was, you spent you got the best, the latest and greatest security software and all that. You secured your servers and websites and everything, but you can still get hacked through the employees if they're not educated well in terms of cybersecurity. So this course was more geared towards that. So how to basically do everything while maintaining your security. And also it had an aspect of protecting your privacy, because that's becoming a bigger and a bigger issue for users, and anonymity. And I also cover how to access the dark web properly, because you could access the dark web easily, obviously, using Tor, but you could... to do it properly, it takes much more to do it properly, while knowing that, okay, I'm safe and I know what I'm doing, instead of just opening up a browser and just accessing websites.
Okay, so when you talk about that, you're basically a way to protect your identity, your information when you're on these sites. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, in general and on the dark web. So you get the same information. Like, the dark web is simply just normal websites. So the same information can
I know,
be
it sounds pretty ominous, man, the dark web.
I know, it's just the name. It's just, that's the main thing that I say in the course as well. It's just the name, the dark web. It's, well, it's nothing. It's just websites. And if you know how to protect your privacy and anonymity in normal websites, you'll be able to do it on the dark web too.
Okay. What percentage of your students are cybersecurity professionals or aspiring professionals versus just general public or employees who are looking to learn, better practices to, protect their privacy and their data, et cetera?
I actually don't know. So I don't really have. We can obviously look at, but we never really done such statistics to see how many of them are actually. But we get looking at basic stuff like basic analytics, because there is a Udemy for Business, and only business users come from that, and that's about 10% of the amount of students. But obviously, normal, like you could have a smaller business and not be part, because Udemy for Business is very expensive, so you could just buy the courses for your employees. So hard to actually know how much exactly, but I know from Udemy for Business is about 10%.
Okay, that's great. And back onto the privacy, why don't you just give us a couple samples of tips? I mean, I know you want to give your course away for free, but give us a couple things that people should be kind of aware of.
Where do I start? I mean, yeah, like everything we use these days, they obviously, like, and I'm sure you heard about it everywhere. Like pretty much a lot of the websites you sign up for track a lot. Like they basically get anything they can from you. If you're, even if you don't have like a Facebook account or whatever, we've heard that a lot. Like they make ghost profiles for people. So the way that works is any website that has, say, for example, the Facebook share buttons, and I'm only using Facebook here as an example, but other websites do it. So let's say you're on a website that has the Facebook share button. That button collects data and sends it back to Facebook. So even if you don't have an account, they'll create an alias for you, probably just a number, and then everywhere you go, this alias will be profiled. And then, the more data they collect about you, obviously, the better ads they can do. But obviously, this data can also be leaked and can be sold and can.
It can be used for social engineering or whatever, right? Because if they know that hey, Zaid's been searching for this particular product, and we're going to craft an email from the manufacturer saying, looking like it's from, and you're like, oh, hey, I can sign up for the loyalty club or whatever, and yeah,
exactly. If I'm given just a quick tip, would be use fake names and fake information as much as you can. There's also plugins that are actually really cool that will just open random tabs in random websites, so you can do that every now and then to confuse these kind of trackers.
Just to mess with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's just simple stuff. But I was setting up my niece's computer recently, and where she was just making an email, and she's very happy, first time, whatever. Obviously, she was putting her real name, her real everything. I was like, no, make an identity for yourself. And she actually found it amazing, because she's making this fictional
persona
character.
Yeah.
So exactly. So she named her something else, and she put a different age, different interests every time she's signing up. But she has to follow this identity, because if you put different information, then again they'll know this is fake, because you're putting different information in different places. So make this identity and always follow it on all the other websites, and at least you're doing the bare minimum, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that's some really good advice. In fact, I'm gonna try it. I've never done that, but I'm gonna do it just to try it. But it's really amazing, like how tightly integrated the search engines are with the ad servers across multiple platforms. And I mean, it's a pretty simplistic example, but it happens almost daily where I'll be on Google, search for something, and then go to Facebook, and boom, there's the ad for exactly. And it's like, it's kind of weird, What are your thoughts on, things like Alexa and Siri and Cortana?
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, like I would never put stuff like that in my house. For example, I was speaking to someone who's like, oh, yeah.
But do you have one of these?
You have one of these? Have a server room. Yeah, I know. Like sometimes, you have to make a compromise somewhere.
Hey, Siri.
Compromise somewhere.
See, I mean, she's listening, right? It's like
yeah, it's listening all the time. Yeah.
You have
people.
Do you turn yours off?
Yeah.
You do. I just got a new phone, and it's so annoying every time I ask my kids something and they don't know, so they'll ask Siri, right? And so I've been kind of playing around with it, but it is kind of spooky, right? Because it's on all the time, not just when you say, "Hey Siri."
Yeah. And then again, if you're trusting the company that this data is being sent to, let's say you have blind trust in Apple, and they will never misuse your information. Cool, perfect, good for them. But the problem is, what if Apple gets leaked? Do you trust all the employees at Apple? What if one of the employees hated Apple and did something? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I know, again, some big social media companies, the way that they operate, and like a lot of their teams, a lot of their employees, I want to say names, have access to everything you do, like have access to your personal messages if they wanted to. Obviously, if they just access it for no reason, they will get in trouble.
Right.
So there is monitoring.
If they get
on
caught,
them. They're not supposed to open your messages, but if they wanted to, they can actually go in and see like a personal message that you sent to somebody. I think that's huge. Like it shouldn't have been implemented that way. You should only be able to access what you should be able to access. And these are huge companies that can definitely afford to implement this kind of stuff properly. But I don't know why it's not done that way. But yeah.
So you talk about these things in your course?
Well, yeah, I talk about how to avoid these things. Yeah.
Okay. And so with
another thing, just to add for there,
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you.
No, please.
For kids, I noticed that like it's obviously, kids are very easy to. It's much easier to teach a kid than teaching somebody that is grown up. So again, when my niece came in to set up her computer, I had Windows on it, and I have like Windows is fine, works well, whatever. For what she wanted, she could have used Linux, and in my opinion, Linux is more secure and is a better operating system. That's my personal opinion.
How old is your niece? Ballpark? You don't have to give me the exact age.
She's only 12. She's only 12.
She's probably the only 12-year-old using Linux though. The kids at school are like, what is that? What is that?
Yeah, because I tried to get her mom to use Linux and she hated it, and she's like, don't set it up for her, come on, she's just a kid, she wants to enjoy. I was like, so I said to her, I was like, look, I'll set it up for you for a week, if you don't like it, come back, I'll put you back on Windows. And she's like, yeah, cool. She likes writing, and I was like, would you want somebody to see your stories and all that? And that's when she's like, no, I don't want to. So I set her up with Linux, and that was like I think 5 months ago. And yeah, I'm like, she's very happy. I actually checked up with her the other day. I was like, are you good with it? She's like, yeah, it's perfect. I don't get why people complain about it. Like, yeah, there you go. Because she started with it. Like people.
I think you should give her an internship. Yeah, give her an internship. Put her to work for you.
No, she's actually not techie at all. She just likes writing. The thing is, like, people start with Windows and they learn how to use Windows, and then it's hard. The transition becomes harder. But once you set them up like with something that is a little bit more secure, even if it's less convenient, this is what they're gonna learn, and they'll actually be okay with it.
Okay,
and,
well, so that's I mean, that's a good point. Let's just say, hey, I'm in the market for a new computer, which I am, by the way. So I'm a typical user. I use my browser. I use the Office 365 suite of tools. And that's pretty much it. I'm using some Teams or Zoom, and maybe the podcast recording platform. Nothing, super. So in that situation, would you still advise somebody to go and set up a Linux machine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Linux compatibility is amazing now. Like you can get everything working on it.
Awesome.
You might, stuff might crash here and there, but you'll figure it out, and then you'll feel really good, and that's it.
So do you? I'm assuming that for hardware, you're on a Mac.
I'm on a Mac, yeah.
Yeah, and then do you run Parallels then?
Yeah, well, I use VirtualBox because it's free and it's open source, so yeah.
Cool. Well, so let's back up a little bit. I mean, the last time we spoke, you already had something like a couple 100,000 students globally. What kind of metrics are you tracking these days?
Yeah, so we have on Udemy. I have over 500,000 now, and then awesome. I have other platforms now. So altogether is about 700,000, I'd say, students. We're doing really well as well in terms of our YouTube channel and just our website like zSecurity. So we've got well over 1 million followers at this stage.
That's amazing. And just as a reminder, I think you graduated in college, what, 2015 or something like that? 16, right? So that's you're killing it, man. That's great. What's the challenge for you? Like, I mean, because your business is growing, right? And so, I mean, at the beginning, it was, if I recall the story correctly, you had all this content. Somebody advised you that you should curate it, put it into like a more structured course, and then start selling it. And then you started creating more content. And at that point, it was you and, maybe a couple other people. Is it still a pretty small operation, or are you getting any kind of growing pains at all? Or?
Yeah, well, we expanded more now. There's 10 of us at the moment.
Wow.
and we would have definitely expanded more if it wasn't for the pandemic. The only reason is I felt like the next 1 or 2 employees, I want them to actually. So I have a lot of people that work online. I told you, and that's perfect. That's fine. But like, I do want 1 or 2 more to be here with me in the office, and obviously I can't have people here with me in the office. So that's why you keep thinking, okay, it's going to be nearly over, and I carry that to be a year. But yeah, at the moment we're 10. Hopefully we'll be more soon.
That's awesome. And at what point is it hard for you, or is it hard for you? Like, I mean, I know that running a business is very different from teaching a course or creating content, which is also very different from developing your hacking skills. But in order for you to kind of run the business, you do have to have quality control. I don't know if you're still creating most of the content. Is it you, or is it a team effort, or? The courses is still just me, and hence that's why I actually, in the last year I did not create a new course. So 2020 I didn't release a new course. It was mainly just updating what I have and just maintaining everything we have. We launched a new platform as well, so that took a lot of time. What's the platform?
So we launched our own bug bounty platform.
Okay.
Bug bounty.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's bug-bounty.com. This actually, I launched something similar to it in Arabic before I did any of this, before I even went to college. It just didn't do very well. I think the idea of bug bounty was new in the Western, like in the Western market, which is more evolved in terms of cybersecurity. So the Arabic version didn't do very well. So I actually had the domain bug-bounty.com from that time, and I got it pretty cheap. So every time now when I tell people, oh, we just launched this, they're like, oh, you must paid like good money for that domain. I'm like, no, I just had it for a long time. Just kind of revived it now because obviously it revived it in English, and obviously we have a lot of reach now, lots of followers, so it should do better. But the idea is it's to help companies, websites, or app owners to discover bugs, not necessarily security bugs, could be display bugs, much easier and at a cheaper rate. So let's say you have a website, you list it on our platform on bug-bounty, and then hackers, like we already have 600 hackers within a week of launching the website. So they're going to test your platform for free, and you'll only need to pay them once they discover a bug. When they discover bugs or reports, they send them to us. We validate them to make sure that these bugs are valid, and only if they are valid, we'll send it to you. The reason why you need a middleman, because being the middleman, we get a lot of reports. A lot of them could be wrong. So that's why you need a middleman to first of all validate the bugs and also get you the hackers. Bigger companies like Google and Facebook have their own bug bounty platforms, but they can do this obviously because they have a huge reach, and they also have their own security team that can manage that for them. And they still actually use other platforms right now. So they use platforms like HackerOne and Bugcrowd.
So no, that's interesting because at AdaQuest, the company I work with, we'll do pen testing and a variety of security assessments. I would think that there might be a way for us to kind of offer that as a value add or a white labeled service, or what's the fee structure for something like that? Because again, I mean, obviously the big guys, Google and etc., they've got their own huge community that they can access. But if you're just a small, medium-sized startup, or you've got some kind of web app, how are you going to gather 600 hackers to try to find the bugs? And so they can go to Bug Bounty. How do you charge for something like that? Obviously, they're going to pay for the bounty, but give me a range.
Yeah, so the bounty, they can actually pick whatever they want to pay for the bounty. So you could just give points or give T-shirts or mugs for the bounty. That's something completely up to the company to pick. You got huge companies like GM Motors. They actually give T-shirts, which I think they should actually start giving money. But so you could pick whatever you want for the bounty. For us as the platform where you're listing your bounty, you pay per listing. So it depends on the company, because the bigger the website or the app you have, the more reports we will get and the more validation we have to do and all that. So we were doing it per case. We can't really just give a specific price for it, but we're doing it per case.
But so what if multiple hackers find multiple bugs? Then everybody gets paid. Everybody gets their T-shirt or whatever.
No,
right?
just the first person gets the bounty. So
Is
the
that
first
it?
person that reports it gets the bounty. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's, I mean, but if you find, like, you find one bug, I find another bug, we should both get a T-shirt, right?
Yeah, of course.
Or
Yeah.
whatever the bounty is. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what skills? I mean, how do the hackers? Do they all use the same kind of approach to finding bugs, or is there a wide range?
Yeah, so each person obviously have their own style and their own way of like going about testing, let's say, a website. Like a lot of them follow the same methods followed by when a pen test is done. So they will go in, test all the features, test for whatever vulnerabilities. The only thing is they have to remain within the scope. With a pen test, obviously, usually you get a bigger scope than what's on the bug bounty. So again, on the company that lists the listing, they can choose which parts of the website, which applications, which features to be tested. And they can also say, okay, stay away from this place. We don't want you to test that. Stay away from these kind of attacks. It's okay. So all they have to do is just make sure that they're within the scope that you give them.
Awesome. Hey, I mean, you've got students all around the world, and you originally started offering courses in Arabic, right? Where are most of your students now? And I guess what's more interesting for me is, are you seeing an increase in the number of students, for example, in North America or Eastern Europe or in the Middle East, or I mean, because that would point to an increasing amount of interest in cybersecurity education.
Yeah, but it also could point to an increased marketing.
Yeah, of course.
Targeting.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that, because there is an increase, and the increase is in India from the previous years. But I think that's also due to just India being targeted more in terms of marketing.
Okay. And do you find that different regions around the world have different levels of maturity for cybersecurity education?
Yeah, definitely. And it's mainly not the individuals, it's mainly the companies. So you could see, for example, like lots of, I can speak more, like I can give more information about the Arabic market because I still have like relations there. Mm-hmm. So you could see like the individuals in the Arabic market, even when I started my bug bounty website like a few years back, the individuals were very well educated. They know of the threats, and they're actually really good hackers in there. The only problem is the companies aren't ready yet to pay. Like they still don't like understand how valuable it is to be more secure, to prevent hackers from getting access to data and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of these individuals end up getting companies in different countries or in different places because they can't get work in their country, but obviously other places value their skills. And
it's amazing because it's almost like some countries still have their heads in the sand about what the potential threats are, and I spent I lived in Japan for 5 years, and then I went back last year for a year to set up the Japan office for AdaQuest, and I had several conversations with and it's interesting because you have Japanese companies and then you have multinationals who are doing business in Japan, and the multinationals tend to be a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of moving things to the cloud and deploying the latest security practices or best practices related to security. But a lot of the local companies still, they're reluctant. And I remember I had a conversation with the CTO of it was about a $2 billion company, bricks and mortar type company. And, we just did a very high level or security assessment. And one of the things that we pointed out was that, maybe your global admins, maybe you should have them do MFA or multi-factor authentication, two-factor authentication. And the response was amazing. He's like, that's going to be it's going to be difficult for them. It's going to be, they're not going to want to do that. And I'm like, if one of those accounts gets compromised, you want to talk about difficulty, right? But there's still a reluctance. And then I think also there's sometimes when companies do get hacked, there's not the same level of what's the word, transparency or sharing with the public what's actually happened. So And do you see that in different countries that you work in?
Yeah, and the thing is also like a lot of the time, so I do a lot of consultancies as well, and a lot of the time it's after the damage is done. So they got hacked or something happened, and they're like, okay, so how do we recover? How do we do this? And like, so obviously give them the advice and whatever. And like, I'm not to say I told you so, like you should have, but you really should have like.
But I told you so.
With someone else, yeah, you should have spoke with someone. Like, you should have considered this. It's not something that couldn't, like, you should have expected this, or even if you didn't, you should have got like, an expert. You should have spoke to someone, because it's gonna cost you so much more now that like the damage is done. It would have been so much better to do it. And it's one of these things, like, let's say you do go ahead and implement the best security measures, which will cost you, let's say, X amount of money, and you never get hacked. You're going to think, oh, did I just waste that money? Because you never, it's if it works, it's perfect, but you'll never feel like you got your value, because, if it works, it's supposed to stop people from hacking you, and you're not going to be hacked, and you're going to think, maybe I was okay without it.
Yeah,
so that's the biggest problem.
But the best insurance is the insurance that you never really have to use, right? But you still pay it, right? So yeah. It's, I guess, but it is hard for companies to get their mind around that. But if you start looking at all the reputational, the legal and compliance risk, and just the business risk involved with any kind of breach, I'm happy that we spent the money and we don't get the breach. But are you seeing, because you mentioned you get brought in to consult after the fact sometimes, are these these ransomware attacks, or what kind of issues are you seeing?
Ransomware and fraud, lots of fraud.
Okay, an example.
I don't think I should.
Oh, well, you don't have to give specific names.
Yeah, because the customer could actually be listening to this, and I don't.
Okay, no worries, no worries. God, I want to get the details, man. So, are things coming in Ireland? Are you? Is it getting closer to being business back to usual? People getting the vaccine yet, or?
It's very slow, to be honest. We're only vaccinating people over 75 now, like this week.
You've got a while to wait.
It's a long way. Yeah, it's a long way.
Yeah. Well, assuming that we do come out of this, I mean, what plans do you have for your business in 2021 and going forward?
Yeah, so I'm bug bounty. We're gonna spend more time on that. Hopefully, implement more features. We have like so many other features that we have in mind that we want to push to it. I really think we can definitely compete very well. We got the audience, we got the skills. So. Update my existing courses. I'm aiming to publish a new course as well this year. I'm pushing a second version of my book, because I think the first version is like completely out of date at this stage. So I will be doing that this year.
So what's the new course, and remind us of your book?
So the book is based on my course on learning ethical hacking from scratch.
Okay.
This will just literally be the newest version, because a lot of the stuff in there is kind of old. Like, you can still get value out of it, but I would feel better with a newer version. This is done better with nicer graphics. I think it'll get the message across better. Okay,
and then the new course.
The new course is still very under development. So
secret.
Secret, still top secret.
Cool. Well, hey, it's been good talking with you. I mean, I am still super impressed with the quality of your content. I don't know if you remember, but I took your Learn Ethical Hacking from Scratch course and really enjoyed it. And again, I'm the least technical person anywhere, and I was able to actually make sense of it. Had fun.
I do like.
Yeah, and I maxed out my poor 7-year-old MacBook Air. That now I'm in the market for something a little bit more powerful, and probably I'll go in and I will use Linux and probably get back in there.
Nice.
What anything else you want to share with us, or any thoughts about the education you provide, the courses, anything like that?
No, happy enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a free version of the book anyway when it's out. Remind me if I don't remember.
That would be that I will remind you. When are you expecting that to be out?
So it's actually done now. So I'm just going through a review, and I want to do that within the next 3 weeks. And then we're going to have to do the graphics. So we still haven't done any graphics, like, screenshots and all that. I would say 4 or 5 months.
So is it available in ebook version, or it's all print?
It's going to be ebook and print.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to ask you just a personal question. And again, I'll probably ask another one that you're going to be like, okay. You're originally from Iraq, right?
Yeah.
Anything you miss? I mean, I got to think there's a pretty huge, except for both of them start with IR. There's a big difference between Ireland and Iraq.
Yeah, of course. I definitely miss. So a lot of my relatives are already out of Iraq, and my friends. So if I go back, I won't really get to see these guys. I usually actually still travel to where they live now. So the only thing I miss in Iraq is actually Iraq, like the place. The place is not the people, because most of my people are out of it by now. I miss a few places. Places where I grew up, or places where my relatives used to go and we used to go to play. It'll be nice to go.
It's kind of
again.
nostalgic and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, Zaid, as usual, I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm gonna put in the description of this episode. I'll put links to your courses, everything that I can find, and your it's Bug Bounty.
Bug-bounty.com.
Bug-bounty.com, and put all that information there. And I look forward to seeing your book.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Hello, welcome to Secure Talk, your trusted source of information on the latest threats, trends, tools, and technology related to cybersecurity and compliance.